right, this is a new Spanish drama in the traditional 9 p.m. You would call it the Nordic noir slot.
Turns out I know a lot more Spanish than I thought I did.
What's the Spanish you know?
Well, no, but the phrasing in Spanish was more recognisable than the Scandinavian. Like, you know when you get this thing with subtitles... Sorry, I know you're about to tell us about the actual plot, but
no,
when you're looking at subtitles, you do sort of pick up words. Obviously, the only word I learnt in Scandinavia is tag, which is thank you. I know a lot more Spanish than I thought I did.
They do hi, don't they?
Hi, and thanks, Minister. But Spanish, just because I suppose it's a more spoken language and we're more familiar with it, you know, there's a lot more Spanish taught in English schools than Scandinavia. I actually found this quite easy to follow.
But it is very quick and they talk very fast, and I found there's a lot of information in it. Basically, the basic plot is the first scene we see is this man stumbling through on a road. He gets to a petrol station, and sort of you get the impression he doesn't really know what's going on. Goes to a hospital, and he's basically an amnesiac. His wife comes in to see him and explains he's Juan Elias.
Juan, I believe, yes, but well pronounced.
Juan Elias. He's a lawyer and law lecturer.
Yeah, and he's applying to be the principal lecturer at the college, or the dean of the college.
Chancellor. The vice-chancellor?
Vice-chancellor, that's it.
Yes. And he was in a car with his... Well, it's initially introduced as his niece, but what...
It's his step-niece, isn't it, really? Or
it's his sister-in-law's stepdaughter.
That's it.
There's no blood... It's not a blood relation, because there is an insinuation
that there is blood in the car.
There's a sexual relationship. Yeah, so basically, they were in a car together. I'm assuming they crashed. He lost his memory, but there is the insinuation that he killed her. Yeah,
well, there's a phone call that implies that as well.
There's a phone message where she leaves for her brother, basically saying he's going to kill me. So I'm guessing the series, but this first episode specifically is based around the trial of Juan Elias. How much do we trust him? We learn early on that he's got a lot of his clients off on an amnesia defense.
Yes.
There's 13 cases where he's pleaded amnesia, and
he's quite the sketchy lawyer, isn't he? His partner is quite the character. I really like him.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, you get this because he doesn't know anything about him. We find out about him through other characters, which is a really interesting way of telling this story. And so we've got this character who, by all intents and purposes, is a nasty piece of work. I think he's described as a very dangerous man at one point of the drama.
Yes,
and
he is.
It's interesting because we are sympathising with him because, well, we are led to believe that he doesn't remember, but maybe he is playing on this amnesia because something happened in the car. That is the main mystery. There are bits throughout where you're guessing, does he know? There's a scene where he and his young daughter are left alone in the house, and the son then comes back and sees that the daughter's computer has been used and the internet history is wiped.
Well, not only that, but there's a little bit of paper as well that's been ripped off off a pad. So the implication that the dad, whilst the daughter was asleep watching a movie, went into the internet, found something, and then deleted the history.
Yeah. Playing alongside this is the story of Eva, who's this lawyer in this sort of dinky firm run by this guy called David. They're like a small firm who were chosen by Anna, who's the niece. Her dad, Ramon, I think it's Ramon, hires them despite them being quite a small firm. And there's this question why has he hired them? Why hasn't he hired someone else, someone bigger, someone with more resources? He uses the excuse, Juan Elias has got allies in all of these firms, even though they despise him, because lawyers
they all owe each other favours, wasn't it? It was this idea that we need someone small and independent so that there's no problems.
So you've got Ava, saying, trying to find out why they've hired hired him. And then at the end, we discovered that Ava and Juan Elias were in a relationship.
There was definitely something they were hinting at in the court scene, wasn't there? Because he was definitely looking at her like, I know you, but I don't, I don't remember, but I recognise you. There was a good sort of series of, he paused every time he was answering one of her questions. A lot more because he was looking at her.
Well, he then claims at the end that she's the only person he doesn't recognise his wife or his kids or his partners at the law firm, but he recognises her. And she was a law student of his, and they had a brief affair. And that makes you question even more, did he do something to Denise? Because he's...
Yes. Well, there was a lot of talk. There was lots of talk about him playing his games and things, and there was a lot of talk about him manipulating. I suppose it's fair to say his wife is a judge, or a former judge.
His wife is a judge.
So there's a lot of links with the criminal system.
There's this weird thing about the daughter, Juan's daughter, Julieta, going to the parents
teenager.
And no, she's not even a teenager.
Well, prepubescent.
She's
she's very, but she plays quite a teenage spirit.
Yeah, like a smart aleck kid, wiser than her years type thing.
I didn't like
Goes to see the parents and said, Anna told me that she was going to just go away one day and go windsurfing and go to this small island. And
it was kite surfing. I remember that thinking, what, really?
Kite surfing, that's it.
Kite
weird.
surfing.
I have actually written that
weird.
down here. Yeah. That was like in... Did you ever watch the French thing, The Disappearance?
Yes.
You're
right.
Like in episode 2, they discovered that the girl who'd gone missing had a secret NASCAR...
That's it.
Past. She was training to be a racing car driver behind her parents' back, which was very strange. And this kite surfing thing reminded me of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought there was a lot of plot, a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff got covered. But I really, really enjoyed this, Gary.
Similar. I thought this was up there in quality with things like The Missing. And sort of like just really well written, fast paced. As you say, I really like the idea that we're learning because this guy's got amnesia. It's a very clever. I'm slightly surprised it's never been used before. To sort of like get a plot moving along quite quickly, because basically, you don't have to basically explain everything to the audience. You're explaining it to him, and it makes sense. And I do think, as I say, I'm slightly surprised that we've never had a Spanish drama before, because,
The only one I could think of is they had that, is it Locked Up on Channel 4? Is the Walter
was that Spanish? Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think Luke watched the first episode of that, but certainly not on the...
not on the BBC Two Nordic Noir. And I think this is a fine example of, it's got the spirit of the Nordic Noir, if not necessarily, being Nordic. And I do really like it, and I'm going to watch the second episode tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I know episodes 3 and 4 are on tonight, but I'm going to watch episode 2 tonight. I do think as well, it has to be said, I think the other reason I really enjoyed this is because of how easy I found the subtitles. I know I'm making that a point, but I do think my enjoyment of it was a lot more.
And the style of it as well, I thought, was very lush and very cinematic and very American. They had that Without a Trace thing, didn't they? Where they were saying how long she'd been
that's what reminded me of things like The Missing, and things like that. Yeah. The other thing I would say, and I know you kind of warned me about this beforehand, about how long it is.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about how long it was.
No,
and of course, the beauty of it was, I got about half hour in, I paused it, went and did a few things, came back, didn't feel overly long. Whether I would feel that way if I was forced to sit down and watch it and I couldn't record, that's certainly how I felt, doing it this way.